I've built a few Gauge 1 live steam locomotives so far. This is the next one I'm going to build, and it's going to be scratch built and it's going to be live steam, and I hope you find the series of following videos interesting to watch. Hello and welcome to part 18 of the GWR Prairie tank Gauge 1 scratch build. Despite there being less and less on the chassis each time we look at it, we are actually progressing further. We're at a stage now where we can start thinking about fitting the running boards and the plate work, and this is what we're going to be concentrating on in this episode. And the first thing I've done is cut the two strips, got these cut to length, and as you can see, the next thing we have to do is to make the clearances for the wheels, as the wheels are going to have to just pop through. We need some little cutouts here, we need some cutouts for the wheels, the top of the wheels, just to run through. Again, the drawings really don't show any of this information at all, so you're going to have to figure this out yourself. One of the best ways is to actually make a little template. Is use a little piece of cardboard. This is what I used to do. I used to do something similar to this when I was welding up old cars, and you want a piece of metal for a fillet or to fill something in underneath. One of the best ways to do it was to make a cardboard template first to get the shape that you wanted. I've now marked out the cutouts. Took a centre, the tip of this wheel to give me a centre line on our template, and then we can then obviously with the tip of the wheel mark on here, we can use this template then to determine the cutouts. You have to be real careful on cutting this out. So I've got this in a horizontal position, so the saw teeth I've got a little bit more to grip on. If I were cutting it that way, it would make a right mess of this because it's quite thin. Just done some chain drilling along here, and the idea now is I should be able to break these out. Now this is the sections that you can see, and just by giving these a gentle bending, they will shear off. There they go. And just have to do the same, just carefully do these corner pieces. Just gently down to the scribe line. Right, that's the first side done. Oh, that looks okay. One side, and we've got the other side there. So I want to add some detailing along this edge here, just to represent some rivets, some tiny rivets. And I'll show you what you do. A little punch and a little die, and you set the depth. And using this riveter, I'll try try and come in close there. You can add rivets, or you can, what it does, it puts an indent in to represent a rivet. Now, I'm not a rivet counter. I couldn't tell you exactly how many rivets are on this footplate running board on the real thing. All I'm going to do is just put in some equally spaced rivets that look about right. And what I've found in the past is, this is a blast from the past, this is old cine film. This is the leader, the white stuff that goes on before the film. It doesn't matter how the film as well. But what you've got in here is you've got some little perforations in here. And I've found that these perforations are just about the right distance for the rivets. Perforated cine film, just fixed on the end. I've set the stops on here so I know the depth I'm going to and how far back I'm going. 1, 2. So we now just gently go along here using our perforation as a guide. Well, there's both of them completed now, and I just need to carry on and just to do the other plate work for the front and a little bit of plate work at the back. But that gives you an idea of how that's all done and how we just add that little bit of detailing. There's the riveting done on both of them now, both of the running boards, and what it's a case of doing now is really just building up the supports and the mounting points for these running boards, because this has got to fit on the chassis. So what do we mean? Bring this on here. I say there's a running board and it will fit on like this. So have a piece that we need to fit on here, that'll be soldered on, and also these little these mounting brackets, these little tabs, I'm also going to fix these on these edges here, and these will ultimately screw into the chassis. So I will start by fitting the little mounting tabs first, and they're going to be I'm going to put a small rivet in, and they're just then going to be soldered using soft solder into their permanent position. You might say, well, okay, well maybe just rely on soft solder. If there's an issue, that little rivet will hold it into position. Mark these out, the little tabs. Put a little centre mark, in there, a drill mark, and I'm just going to drill through those. And this is a process you've seen me do a couple of times. So we'll just drill these holes in here. I'm just using this little bit of tool steel just to raise it off the bottom of the vise so I don't drill into my vise. Let's drill one. And carry on and drill the others. Right, what I need to do is just to fix each of these little tabs on to drill them. The head is going, the rivet, this is what's going to be that's going to be knocked down. That's going to be the part that's riveted in. So I just need to create a slight chamfer or just a slight countersink on here. So there's just a little bit for the rivet to grip onto. So that's that. The other, what I will also do, because ultimately this is going to be soldered, soft soldered, so give this just a little clean. This is something you've seen me do if you watched any of the other videos earlier in the series. It's something you've seen me do before in terms of just riveting. Well, we'll just do this one just to go through the process again. So this little piece that's just acting as my anvil. Pop that on there, and these cutters just about leave the right amount of copper sticking through. I'll get my little hammer. And really needs gentle taps. Doesn't need a great big whacking big thump. Just tap it down gently. Right, here's the tabs, the 3 tabs just riveted into position. And the other very good reason for riveting, for these being held in with a rivet as well, is there's quite a lot of soldering going to be involved in this running board. So if it gets very, very hot, because what I've got to do also is another strip has got to be soldered along here. Another piece of angle. This piece of angle, to create the edge of the running board, has to be soldered along there. And quite a lot of heat will be built up on here, so the last thing we want is for the solder to melt on these and for these just to fall off. There's the 3rd rivet added in now, just exactly the same as the way I put these tabs on, and it's surprising now how rigid this running board has become. Set this up for soldering now, and all I've just done is put some flux around each one of these, each one of the tabs, and I've just put a little slug of solder just on the top of each one, and the idea is when I heat it, it will flow around there, and there's enough of a gap, tiny gap, for enough solder to flow in between all the joints with a little bit of capillary action as well. So let's light our torch. Just place some heat just gently on the back, and I can see that solder going already. I know, that's lovely, that's just flowed all the way down. Here's the next one. And the solder, or any solder, will always travel where the heat is. With this being soft solder, it doesn't take a lot to get this flowing. There, that's just melted, and that's just flowed down the side. Same again. Just starting to melt, and get it hot enough and it will flow down the sides. Perfect. And it's the same process for this strip along the running board. I've put some flux on and just laid a length of soft solder along there. So we shall light our torch again. I'm going to be real careful with this because this is quite thin brass. So I'm just going to get the solder flowing gently. And that's just starting to go. And that seam will just melt along there. Perfect. just working along, just gently, just follow the run. Like so. And so this is where the rivets, the other part's already been riveted in, come in very useful. And if you get any pooling or any blobs, it usually means that it's not hot enough. That's going there nice. Right, and what that's done is the solder has flowed all the way underneath here, and on this one I'm just going to run a little stick along here just to spread that out a little bit. Okay, perfect. One other thing I will have to do now is I'll put this on a flat heat brick. I'm going to reheat it again and press this down, and this will force, so this, the edge of our little angle is hard down on this running board, because at the moment, yes, there's just some slight gaps along there, which is what I'd expect because of the heat, and this is moved slightly, which is to be expected. Now let's heat up again. Let's get this flowing again, and you'll see what I mean when this solder starts to flow again. Get a section. As I press down on that, you see it's forced some solder out, which is what I would expect to see. So that face is now held nice and firm against there. And let's move along and do another section. All I'm just doing, as I say, I've now scraped, just removed the excess on the inside, and just running down this edge just with the sharp face of a chisel, just to get any excess off here. I don't know whether the camera can pick that up, whether there's, you see little slivers coming off here. Now this is where the solder has penetrated through. And the other thing I've just done, just to finish off, is to just file down just the rivet heads, just the remains of the rivets where they've popped through. Now these three on this edge, you need to be careful with those, because we've got our show rivets, and with the file I don't want to, got to be careful you don't file those away. So what I have got, and if you get the chance, these are well worth buying, is you can buy files with a curve on them. You can see that curve there. So these are useful for just getting at something quite specific in a given area, and they come in various shapes. This is like a rounded file, and this is a square file. What it means is I can just exactly get on that copper rivet without touching anything else. Okay, so there it is on the chassis now, and I've got a formed piece here, so I will need to carry on building up this foot plate. So that will be soldered into position on there. And the other thing I've done also is made the rear plate. So that fits on there with our tabs. I'll put the mounting points on the chassis. What we finish up with is, this is the other side I've done. It's actually complete. And so that one goes in there and fits on. So there's the one side done, and all I need to do now is just finish and complete this other side, and I'm going to solder this on again. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you like it. If you have, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, and hopefully we'll see you again for the next episode.